To the point. Youth Talk Television. Youth Talk Television.
My name is Frances Phinisee. I was born in Georgia in 1856. My mother was of African American and Native American descent. My father was French. In my lifetime, I gave birth to 11 children, all out of wedlock. All of my children were fathered by the same man, J.C. James Charles Bryan, a white businessman from West Point, Mississippi, in Clay County. In the pages of his new book, Being Black Goes Like This, my great-great-grandson, author Lamar Thomas, will tell you about our family and the dark, dark secret of J.C. Bryan and his family's denial and non-acknowledgement that our family and the Bryan family are deeply rooted and connected.
In trying to find out more about my great-great-grandmother and my great-great-grandfather, John Charles Bryant of West Point, Mississippi, I attempted on several occasions to reach out to the family. I had a little degree of success with one of the sisters, Caroline B. Harrell of West Point, Mississippi, who was inclined to talk to me by telephone on several occasions, discussing some issues, as well as by email. Her brothers, however, George Wilkinson Bryant of Memphis, Tennessee, and John H. Bryant Jr. of Lake Bluff, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago, who was chairman and CEO, retired now, of the Sara Lee Corporation. They have been reluctant to talk to me. And simply put, we're not looking for any kind of validation or money. Of course, money would be fine, but not looking for that. We're looking to find out who Frances Phinisee was, her relationship with J.C. Bryant that rendered 11 kids out of wedlock. I think that's an important question because at this point, we know that Mama Frances was born somewhere around Atlanta, Georgia, and that she had a brother and sister. And we know that she was African American and Native American, but her father was French. But we don't know where her father comes from. We don't know where she comes from. We don't know where she's buried. For instance, she had 11 kids. We don't know where some of those kids are buried. So finding out an answer as to who she was is paramount in us finding out the piece of puzzles that's missing in our lives. So a refusal by the Bryan brothers to at least discuss that, to give us some information that would lead us into the right direction, just doesn't seem fair. And in reading about his book, which is titled Where We Came From, it doesn't really talk about where we came from because we're connected. The Phinisee family and the Bryan family are deeply connected. And to deny that and not to acknowledge that does not benefit. It hurts and harms my family and the Bryan family, because I think the siblings on all sides, Phinisee, Bryant, would want to know, this is your cousin, you came from here, this is this. But we don't know that. And so until we find that information out, a piece of the puzzle to our lives is missing. It is true that hate, real hate, runs deep like the waters in a great ocean or sea. Hate counts as its birthplace the hearts of those who raise, teach, and nurture us. And although hate runs deep down into one's heart, soul, and mind, because of its arrogance, it does not hide, nor can it hide its ugly head. Hatred rises to the top to be seen and to be heard and to be worn out loud for the entire world to feel. We were taught hate by those who enslaved our spirits, our minds, and our physical being. The laws of ourselves, our ancestry, and our place of birth is an ugly image because it was taught to us in a strange place where we did not understand the language or the culture. And still, after all of these years, because this hatred for ourselves was taught so well by those who captured, imprisoned, raped, and murdered us, still we hate ourselves. This hatred is deafening as it plays itself out on the streets of our cities, as young brothers and sisters kill each other for nothing, yet refusing to stand up for something. The blame for our lack of education in these matters belongs squarely on our shoulders, yet no one of any color or any race other than my blackness shall tell me, just get over it. It was in the past. Black on black crime is a reflection of the behavior of people of poverty that is coupled with a feeling of powerlessness. It has been given birth and it continues to grow like a cancerous sore through a pathology of racism, a society which denies access and opportunity. These are some of the things that leaders should be able to address and change for the people that they vow to lead, if they are in fact leaders at all. The question, who is Frances Phinisee, is one question. Frances Phinisee was my great-great-grandmother. The other part of that question is, if I don't know who Frances Phinisee was, where she came from, that leaves a void into who am I? Where do I come from? Because clearly, as my great-great-grandmother, she was the beginning. So it is important that I ask these questions because I'm bound to want to know where our family comes from. Our family begins with Frances Phinisee and a local businessman from West Point, Mississippi, Mr. J.C. John Charles Bryan. Without having that piece of the puzzle as to where we come from and where she comes from, it gives us a situation that we cannot follow or respond appropriately because the piece of our puzzle is missing. So Frances Phinisee becomes an intricate part of me, my family, and their family. Who is Frances Phinisee? As part of the book, Being Black goes like this, I want to know. I want to reach out to those people who may know. I think that the Bryan family knows. I think that my DNA will match the DNA of J.C. Bryan. If we had dialogue with the Bryan family, any intelligent dialogue, we could find out more about my great-great-grandfather, J.C. Bryan, which would lead us to know more about my great-great-grandmother, Frances Phinisee. So the question becomes and remains, who is Frances Phinisee?